Welcome to the ECA Evaluation Division's video on performance monitoring plans. We will review what a performance monitoring plan is and how it is used in ECA. A performance monitoring plan, or PMP, describes the proposed indicators to be captured that demonstrate progress toward achieving the objectives of a program. A well-designed PMP can serve as a roadmap for planning how you will monitor your program's performance. I want to pause for a moment and make sure you are watching the right video. We are going to discuss how to complete a PMP, not get into the details of how to develop indicators. We do have a video on the ECA Evaluation Division website on the capacity building page with more details on indicator development if you are looking for more information on that topic. There are a few reasons that you might want to use a PMP. It is a simple way to organize the basic indicator information for your program. Instead of having a long list or indicator sheets, a PMP compiles the information in a quick, accessible way. Since a PMP focuses on particular relevant components of indicators, it can be used as a tool to develop new indicators. If you fill out the different components of a PMP, you will have a complete indicator. Finally, if you keep a record of your PMPs, you can easily track any changes to the indicators you use or how the indicators are structured over time. This can be helpful if you ever need to compare historical data. The ECA Evaluation Division began implementation of a new monitoring framework in 2020 called the Monitoring Data for ECA Framework, or the MODE framework. This framework includes standardized objectives, indicators, and data collection methods for all ECA programs. The PMP was introduced as a part of the MODE framework. The information that is included in the PMP is required in any funding proposal. A PMP provides a way for ECA to easily, consistently, and clearly communicate important information about ECA standard indicators to applicants. Prior to a solicitation announcement, the ECA Evaluation Division will pre-populate the PMP with any applicable ECA standard indicators for the program. These indicators serve as the minimum requirement for data collection for the program. The PMP structure means that it is clear what information should be included in monitoring plans and ensures applicants are submitting a minimal level of comparable information. As a note, if you are currently reviewing a solicitation and it does not have a PMP requirement, the solicitation process for that award has not changed yet. If you are applying for ECA funding, you should always follow the instructions included in the solicitation document. At this point, you might be wondering what a PMP looks like. A PMP is usually in a table format with the columns representing the important elements of an indicator. The table can also consist of rows that divide the indicators into their applicable objectives. For the ECA PMP, each standard indicator is used to measure a standard subobjective or objective of the program. The first column is for the indicator title, which is the measurable characteristic used to determine if a program objective is being achieved. You will notice there is a lot going on in the second column, which is the definition. It includes defining key terms, like what constitutes a participant, when someone should be included in the indicator, and how to calculate the indicator. For example, if there is a percentage, what should the numerator and denominator be? The baseline column should represent the value of the indicator before program implementation. It is one of two columns that will not be pre-filled for the applicant. The applicant should either include a baseline based on prior data for the program or indicate that there is no baseline data. If there is no baseline data, the applicant should indicate how the data will be collected or produced in the future. The target column indicates the planned level of result from the program. It is the second column that will not be pre-filled for the applicant. The applicant should propose a target that they find appropriate for the program. The data source and question column will detail what data collection questions should be used for the indicator. ECA will pre-fill this column with the standardized data collection questions to ensure that data collection on certain concepts or indicators is consistent across implementing partners. The when to collect column specifies when the indicators will be measured. For example, post-program, with administrative data, or at the end of the award. Any ECA-required collection point will be one of two times for implementing partners. First, data could be compiled using administrative data. Or secondly, the data collection could occur post-program. For any post-program data collection, it should occur no earlier than before the participant departs the United States and no later than 6 weeks after the activity has ended. Implementing partners are only responsible for collecting indicator data on participant outcomes and outputs during the period of performance of the exchange itself. The ECA Evaluation Division has the responsibility to measure outcomes of ECA participants at 1, 3, and 5 years after their exchange has ended to capture the long-term effects of ECA programming. If an applicant does want to collect indicator data after program completion, they should include specific details of when the data collection will occur. The final column details who will be responsible for data collection for the indicator. PMPs submitted in proposals should focus on data collection completed by the implementing partner. There are a few key requirements for PMPs submitted in proposals for ECA funding. First, the PMP format provided by ECA is not required, but all of the information contained in the provided PMP is. Any PMP submission should include all of the components we just reviewed in the PMP table. Baselines and targets must be included and make sense for the program. As a reminder, if there is no baseline to report, there should be a plan for how to obtain or produce the value in the future. If you have questions about how to set baselines or targets, please see the webinar on the ECA Evaluation Division's website on the Capacity Building page for additional guidance. Lastly, the indicators pre-populated in the PMP by ECA should not be changed because their standardization ensures that data is collected consistently across implementing partners. Although no changes can be made to the ECA standard indicators, applicants can propose additional objectives and indicators that they believe are relevant to monitoring the program's performance. An applicant might want to include an additional indicator for a couple of reasons. First, they might find that there is an additional indicator in the mode framework that wasn't included in their solicitation, but they believe that it would be beneficial in measuring the performance of the program. ECA only picks the most relevant indicators, so there might be some applicants find worth including. Another reason would be if there is a program-specific objective or activity that is not covered in the mode framework. For example, a program might have a mentoring component that you want to collect data on. The applicant could add an objective or indicator that addresses the performance of that component. The PMP format that ECA provides can be used to help develop any additional indicators by providing a structure for the information necessary. Any custom indicators should still include the indicator's title, definition, baselines and targets, data source in question, when to collect the indicator, and the entity responsible. A good place to start reviewing if there are additional indicators for your program is the ECA Functional Bureau Strategy Indicators or the ECA Indicator Book, which contains all of the ECA standard indicators. There are additional requirements to be aware of for any additional indicators proposed by an applicant. These requirements are to ensure that all indicators used to measure program performance are of equal caliber. The first requirement is that any objectives or indicators must be SMART. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. For more information on SMART and developing indicators in general, I will make a plug again for the ECA Evaluation Division's indicator development video on its website, on the Capacity Building page, where you can also find additional recommended external resources. The next requirement is that indicators should focus more on outcomes rather than outputs. As a quick reminder, outputs are the immediate deliverable that results from an activity. It is a result, but not a change. An outcome is a change that has occurred as a result of activities implemented. Outcomes are necessary prerequisites to achieving the program's goals. While outputs are important to understand if a program properly implemented the activities it was meant to, outcomes demonstrate the larger effect of the program. Indicators should also be well structured, meaning they should not measure multiple things like participants and host families in the same indicator. They should also not include a direction, so you don't want to use increase in understanding, but rather you would want to use percentage of students that understand. Lastly, indicators should be numeric data, so you don't want to say the percentage of students that get good test results, but you do want to say the percentage of students that score above 80% on the final exam. Indicators should avoid redundancy. There should be a clear reason for an indicator, and it should not overlap or try to replace an ECA standard indicator. Indicators should be clearly linked to an objective and make sense for measuring that objective. Speaking of objectives, it may be obvious, but any custom objectives should also not overlap with ECA standard objectives. And last but not least, any custom indicators should have consistency with the ECA standard indicators. Consistency means that key terms are defined the same way. You can find a glossary of key terms on the ECA Evaluation Division website. Also, disaggregations for indicators should align with the ECA standard indicators where appropriate. And lastly, the indicator calculation should follow the same structure as ECA standard indicators. You are now ready to complete your own PMP, but if you have any questions, we have several resources available to help you out. Just a few of our additional resources are a glossary of key terms used in our standard indicators, a blank PMP if you want to look more at the structure, the ECA indicator book, which lists all of the ECA standard indicators, and trainings on a variety of topics, including how to develop an indicator and how to set baselines and targets. If you can't find what you're looking for online, you can always reach out directly to the ECA Evaluation Division with any questions you may have. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video today. We hope that it will serve as a useful resource for you.